Most parents think picky eating is about food. Psychology says it's usually about control, fear, or something they can't explain yet. And here's the scary part. When toddlers refuse food, they're often not rejecting the meal, they're protecting themselves. Oh no, is my child like that? Picture this. It's breakfast. You woke up tired, your coffee is still too hot, and your toddler, who loved eggs yesterday, suddenly looks at the plate like you just served poison. They push it away. They scream. They cry like you personally betrayed them. And you think, seriously, you ate this yesterday. Welcome to parenthood, where nothing makes sense before 9 a.m. Here's the myth parents get wrong. They're just being stubborn. No, stubbornness is a grown-up word for a tiny brain trying to feel safe in a very confusing world. Toddlers don't wake up planning to ruin your day. They wake up overwhelmed. According to child development research often cited by the American Psychological Association, toddlers live in a constant state of sensory overload. Sounds are louder, smells are stronger, textures feel bigger in their mouth than they do in yours. So when they refuse food, it's not drama, it's data. Think of their brain like a smoke alarm. Yours goes off only when there's a real fire. Theirs goes off when you burn toast. Now imagine this from their side. Yesterday, the banana was fine. Today, it feels mushy, cold, smells different, and suddenly, alarm. They don't have words like texture sensitivity or autonomy. They only have one sentence, no. And that no isn't disrespect, it's communication. Here's where parents feel guilty and confused. You cooked, you tried, you even added the plate with a cute cartoon character, and still, rejection. But psychology explains something powerful here. Food refusal often appears during the same stage toddlers realize, I am separate from you. This is the birth of identity. Harvard Child Development Studies describe this phase as the moment children discover agency. They can't control bedtime, they can't control when you leave the room, they can't control big emotions. But food is something they can control. So when a toddler pushes the plate away, sometimes what they're really saying is, please let me decide something in this world. And here's the twist most parents don't expect. The more pressure you apply, just one bite, you'll stay there until you eat. Kids are starving elsewhere. The more the brain associates food with stress. Every pressured bite teaches their nervous system. Eating is not safe. Mealtime is a battlefield. And no child learns well on a battlefield. Let's pause for a second. If you've ever sat at a table negotiating with a 3-year-old like it's an international peace treaty, stay with me. Because in the next moments, you might finally understand what your child has been trying to say without words. Here's something that hits parents right in the heart. Toddlers don't refuse food when they feel emotionally secure. They refuse it when something feels off, even if they don't know what. A new sibling, a new daycare, a stressed parent, a louder home, a tiny change you didn't even notice. Their stomach reacts before their mind can explain. Think of food refusal like a check engine light. It doesn't tell you exactly what's wrong, but it tells you something needs attention. And no, this doesn't mean you failed. It means your child is human. Let me gently say this, with love and zero judgment. Sometimes when toddlers stop eating, they're not testing your patience. They're testing, will you still listen to me if I say no? And when they learn that no is ignored, they shout louder next time. This is why yelling, bribing, or forcing often backfires. You might win the bite, but you lose trust. Psychologists often say children don't remember what we served. They remember how it felt to sit at the table with us. Was it tense? Was it rushed? Was it safe? A little humor break, because we need it. If toddlers survived only by what they ate some days, they'd be powered by air, crumbs, and one mysterious goldfish cracker from the couch. And yet, they grow, because their bodies are smarter than we think. Here's the comforting truth many parents never hear. Healthy toddlers rarely starve themselves. They eat when they feel safe. The real question isn't how do I make my child eat? It's how do I make my child feel calm enough to listen to their body? And that answer changes everything. We're going to talk next about the exact psychological reasons toddlers suddenly reject foods they once loved, including fear phases, sensory sensitivity, and emotional mirroring from parents. And most importantly, what actually works without turning every meal into a power struggle. If this already made you see your child differently, don't go anywhere, because understanding replaces frustration, and your child feels that shift instantly. Let's go deeper, because this is where most parents finally say, oh, that's what's really happening. One of the biggest reasons toddlers suddenly refuse food is something psychologists call neophobia. It sounds scary, but it's actually very human. Neophobia means fear of the new. Around ages 2 to 4, the toddler brain becomes hyper alert to anything unfamiliar, especially food. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Thousands of years ago, eating the wrong thing could kill you, so the brain learned, be cautious. Your toddler isn't being dramatic. Their brain is saying, I don't know this. I don't trust this. I will not eat this. And here's the part parents don't expect. Even food they used to love can suddenly feel new again, because toddlers don't remember food the way adults do. They remember it through emotion and sensation. If the last time they ate that food they felt rushed, or you were stressed, or there was a fight in the room, their brain stored not the taste, but the feeling. So when you put it on the plate again, their nervous system whispers, something about this didn't feel safe last time, and the mouth closes. Another huge and often painful reason toddlers stop eating is emotional mirroring. Toddlers are emotional sponges. They absorb tone, tension, silence, exhaustion. If you're anxious about their eating, they feel it. If you're watching every bite, counting every spoon, holding your breath, their body reads that as danger. Stanford child psychology research shows that children regulate their bodies best when the caregiver is regulated first. In simple words, your calm teaches their stomach how to relax. This is why some toddlers eat better with grandparents, babysitters, or at daycare. Not because those adults are better, but because the emotional pressure isn't there. That one realization alone makes many parents cry, quietly, after bedtime. And listen, that guilt you feel right now, it means you care deeply. It does not mean you're failing. Let's talk about control, because this is where power struggles are born. Toddlers live in a world where almost everything is decided for them. When to sleep, what to wear, when to leave the park, who to hug. Food becomes one of the few places where they can say, this is my body. So when you push harder, they push back harder. Not because they're manipulative, but because autonomy is a basic psychological need. You might think they're rejecting your effort, but often they're just defending their independence. Here's a metaphor parents instantly understand. Imagine someone standing over you, watching every bite, commenting, negotiating, threatening consequences. Would you enjoy that meal? Probably not. You'd lose your appetite too. This is why child psychologists recommend something deceptively simple but emotionally hard for parents. You decide what and when, they decide if and how much. It sounds terrifying at first. What if they eat nothing? What if they survive on air? But here's the truth, backed by decades of research. When pressure is removed, appetite often returns. Not immediately, not magically, but gradually, as trust rebuilds. Another overlooked reason toddlers refuse food? Developmental leaps. When their brain is busy learning to talk, walk better, climb, imagine, or regulate emotions, eating often takes a back seat. Their energy is going somewhere else. This is temporary, but panic makes it feel permanent. Let me gently challenge one belief many loving parents hold. A child missing a meal is not the same as a child being neglected. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and show them you trust their body. And trust goes both ways. When toddlers feel trusted, they cooperate more, not because they're obedient, but because they feel respected. Now, here's what actually helps without turning meals into emotional warfare. Create predictable routines, not pressure. Eat together when possible. Let them see you enjoy food without commentary. Offer safe foods alongside new ones, without forcing. And most importantly, separate your worth as a parent from what they eat that day. Because they are not rejecting you, they are learning themselves. There will be days they eat 3 bites and declare victory. There will be days they eat like tiny athletes. Both are normal. What matters most is this. Does the table feel safe? Does your child feel heard, even when they say no? Because every time you respond calmly to refusal, you teach them something powerful. My body is respected. My voice matters. And that lesson lasts far longer than any meal. So the next time your toddler pushes the plate away, pause before reacting. Take a breath and ask yourself, not out loud, but gently inside, What might my child be protecting right now? If this video helped you see your child through a softer, wiser lens, subscribe to Tiny Psyche, because your child doesn't need a perfect parent, they need one who understands what their behavior is really saying. And here's the question I'll leave you with, one that might change your next mealtime forever. When your child refuses food, are they really saying, "I don't want this"? Or are they asking, "Will you still listen to me if I say no"?